Ladies and gentlemen, our first resource speaker for today, who will also give her opening remarks, let us welcome Dr. Rosie L. Conde.
Thank you very much for a very nice introduction. I would like to welcome you for the day 2 of our training workshop for readers and peer reviewers. Now so I am tasked to discuss about technical concepts for analysis. So let me share my screen. Okay. So what I will be discussing today is about how you are going as a peer reviewer, what is expected to you, what are you going to do, and a bit of some exercises later and at the end of the session today. Okay, so let me have a brief background of the project. So we call it E-REWRIMEN. We have 2 sets. This is an extension project of the College of Graduate Studies and Teacher Education Research of Manila, PNU Manila. And we believe that this project is explicitly linked to the strategic objectives of the university, which is designing, implementing, and sustaining innovative and progressive extension programs. This project is hoped to link research, extension, and production, which is believed to give national impact through the local and international network with PNU leadership through CGSTER. So the target participants for E-REWRIMEN are in-service teachers, researchers, and aspiring module writers, not only from the Ignacio Villamor High School, Manuel L. Quezon High School, and Claro M. Recto High School, and teachers from San Luis, Batangas, who are actually the priority, who are the extension partners of CGSTER. But we are actually opening the participation also locally and internationally, and they will be invited to apply. So the project is designed remotely and online. So for a peer reviewer, you will have 2 parts. So in E-REWRIMEN, we have 2 sets. For set number 1, you will be evaluating or peer reviewing a 5-page write-up of their paper to be submitted on April 13. So it will contain introduction, research questions, as well as the copy of the draft of the paper and references. So after they will go through with the main sessions and some mentoring also, they will be submitting. Before I'll proceed to that, let me discuss also the 5 pages description of the E-REWRIMEN Set 2, which is IM and module. So it will contain outline of the IM or project and the current status. It will also contain overview of module, kind of module, IM objectives, and as well as the draft of the module and the reference. So after they submit the 5 pages paper, you will try as a peer reviewer, together with the main reader, you will try to evaluate the papers based on some of the rubrics that I will be sharing later. So after that, they will go through again. The participants will go through mentoring and seminar workshop also. And then after that, on May 15, they will be submitting. May 5. You will be meeting them, together with the main reader that will be assigned to that paper, together with you if you will be assigned. And you will talk and discuss your review with the proponent. Okay. Then after that, after May 5, they will be given some time, and tentatively they will be submitting the 10 pages paper after the inclusion of your comments. They will be submitting 10 pages paper on May 15. So this is the part 2 or round 2. So you will try to look at the paper if they they followed the suggestions made by the main readers as well as your group as a peer reviewer. And then you will go through again with the paper using again the same form that I will be presenting later. And then you will do again part number 2. Okay. So these are the materials that we will need for E-REWRIMEN peer review. We have form number 1. This is the research article evaluation. We have form number 2, or the IM or module evaluation. We have the sample study 1, which we will be giving you later. And then another one is the sample IM or module 1. So in this IM, we will not be giving you the IM. I think some of you have written your modules already, or you have used a certain module that was written by your group or any group. We would like you to choose one and then try to evaluate it. You do your self-evaluation using our form number 2. Okay, let me go through with these forms to make it more okay. So this is the form number 1. So I just hope that you can see it. Can you see it? No, you cannot see it for a while. Okay. I'll share your screen again. Yeah. Okay. You will be given with this form. So this is form number 1. As you can see, this is already made for you. Okay, so this is the evaluation of the research article submission. So you have the areas here. Instead of you writing all the sections, we wrote it for you. And then you have the level of compliance here. 3 means complied. 2 means needs minor revision. 1 means major revision. And then you have to have the strong points, if you can find it, because this is very important to be able to motivate the writer. And then this is your remark, suggestion, and recommendation. And then as much as possible, be specific and be constructive as much as possible. Our purpose here is to help. Our purpose is to support for the improvement of our mentees later. So I need you to focus on the improvement rather than just criticize the paper, okay? So you can have there the title, okay? It should be formulated as concise and informative as possible. The titles are often used in information retrieval systems, so you have to suggest a good title instead, avoiding abbreviation and formula as possible. Next is the abstract. The abstract is a summarization or synopsis of the complete document written in 1 paragraph, which should include these elements: purpose, methods, results, conclusion, and recommendation. And all of these should be in the abstract. I'm sorry. Okay, next is the key elements of the article. So you should have the introduction. There should be the introduction there that you can find. It should explain the theoretical background, related research, the practical application, and the nature of and purpose of research article. Second is methodology. It should describe the participant, example, the demographics, selection criteria, and group assignment. Of course, it should contain the ethical consideration. You have to find it there. The materials, the tasks, the equipment, instruments, including the discussion of the validity and reliability, if appropriate, and the procedures employed in such studies, such as treatment and data analysis. I'm sorry. Okay, let's proceed to number 3, results, findings, and discussion. So you have to see to it that the results were clear and concise, discussed and explored the significance of the results and not repeated. So it is often appropriate that there should be a combination of the results, and then after that there's a discussion. So you have to see to it that it should avoid extensive citations and discussion of published literature. In the conclusion and recommendations, the main conclusion of the study was presented in the conclusion section. Okay, this may stand alone or a form of subsection of the discussion or results or and discussion section. And then it should contain references, sufficient enough with not more than 10 years of old sources, and it should comply with the APA format. Take note that for education researchers, we use APA format. Now, after that, you need to fill in the number of frequencies on how many times that this level of compliance occurred. Okay, so you have to write it there. Now, there is also language and grammar where you need to write also. So you just write, you will not anymore write the level of compliance, but instead you write the strong points as well as the recommendation. If possible, if may idea kayo, we can suggest a journal publisher, preferably Q1 or Q2, and then indexed in ISI, Scopus, ACI, or CHED accredited. So the purpose for us to peer review here is for them to be able to really publish after our the mentoring. And then you have the overall remarks. So in the overall remarks, you check here if it's part 1 or if it's part 2. So you should have this copy also because you will be using your review for part 1 vis-a-vis to part 2. So you have to write your overall remarks. So this is the legend on the level of compliance. So 75 to 100% complied. You write 2 if it has 50 to 75% complied, and then 1 for 49 and below. So for part 1, you should be writing here for the 5-page, say complied or minor revision, depending on the number of frequencies. So whatever the number, is more frequent, then you have to write it there, and then you have to write the frequency. For part number 2, which is for the 10-page paper after the submission of the improved paper, you need to write cleared here if it follows, because you can actually give it back to the writer if it doesn't follow the suggested comments for improvement. But you need to ask also the main reader, because the main reader will be the one to communicate to the writer. So if it's cleared, then you write cleared. And then if it's cleared, right, check if it's research, that if the research article is in publishable format and the article is found in order. Or you write for revision if it needs minor revision or major revision, minor revision or major. No, if it's major revision, then you have to do it again before the participant will have a certificate. Okay, so that's form number 1. So that's it. Now let's proceed to form number, stop sharing. I should have shared okay, form number 2. Okay, so this is form number 2. Let me share. So for form number 2, you have, we only have formative evaluation, of course, because you cannot do summative evaluation. So as a reader or peer reviewer, you will review the accuracy, the appeal, and originality of the module. So you have to analyze only for 3 parts. So you might think of analyzing a lot, but it's up to you, but you are only required to have 4. So we have number 1, the congruence of curriculum materials with its objectives. Number 2 is cognitive demand of the module. Number 3 is student involvement in the module. And number 4 is readability of the module. Okay, so for we will have form 3 below. I will show it to you. But for student involvement in the module and readability of the module, I think you're familiar with this. We can have it, again, 2 ways for part 1 and part 2. For in this case, for example, for part 1, examine the draft of the 5-page, and then you do the evaluation for activity number 1. All you have to do is to randomly select 10 pages, okay, of the module. Starting from the first paragraph of each page, classify the first 10 sentences according to categories. For each page, from page form 1 to page 10, count the number of sentences, and then compute the student involvement. So student involvement index is just total number of sentences in category 2 over the total number of sentences in category. Anyway, you can browse through with this document later. So you have the table, you will write it there, and then we have to calculate, and this is the standard according to Al Dasaira in 2020. You just write there. And then for activity number 2, you will evaluate the readability or reading ease of the module by Fry in 1968. So all you have to do is to follow the direction here. It's very easy. And then fill in the table and then plot it in figure number 1. The figure number 1 is looks like this, and it's also there. So all you have to do is plot there. But in this case, you need to subtract 2. Okay, so whatever level that you can find there, subtract 2. That's the standard. Okay, and then compare the intended grade level of the module from the one obtained in the readability. Okay, so if the grade levels are different, then maybe you can say something about the implication for the revision of the module. Okay, now this is what I said. Form number 2. So the same thing. You have the level of compliance, the same with that in the form number 1. So you have 3, 2, 1. So we only have to write 4. Okay, the areas are 4. You need to write the strong points, the remarks, suggestions and recommendations for improvement, and then the number of frequency, grammar and language, and then you will have the remarks on accuracy, clarity, appeal, and originality, and then you will have overall remarks. So this is the legend. Okay, for part 1, you will have this. Again, the same thing. For part 2, also the same thing. It might not be 10 pages anymore. It might go beyond 10 pages, but it's okay. You can do it. And then you check if it's cleared, but you have to also check with your main reader. Okay, this is the last. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So you can have also an overview of what the submission will look like. So we have this submission last 2020. So you can also have an idea of how it looks. But I would like to say this is for your eyes only. You cannot reproduce this. You cannot share this. This is only for the purpose of our exercise. So as you can see, you need to say something about the abstract because the abstract is not here, but you need to say there. So everything is here. So all you have to do is to use form number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's it. Okay. Lastly, let me share form number 3, which we will not be giving you. This is form number 3. So this is what we are going to use in order to screen and try to grade you in your peer review. So we will write there the reviewer name, and then for these are the Likert scales. I just would like to read. There are only 6 points that you will be graded in a way. So number 1, the reviewer appropriately rated and discussed the importance of research question. Second, the reviewer clearly identified the strengths and weaknesses of the method, study design, sampling method, instruments, data collection, and data analysis. Number 3, the reviewer made specific useful comments on writing, organizing, tables, and figures of a manuscript. The reviewers phrased all comments in a constructive manner. And then the reviewer supplied appropriate evidence using examples from the paper to substantiate provided comments. So in this case, this is very important because you will not only say, no, it's bad, it's not written correctly, because you are expected to supply appropriate evidence. May it be a quotation from a certain study, may it be a line or something like that. You need to supply it, okay? And then it will help the writer to substantiate and provide from the comments that you provide. Number 6, the reviewer comments on the author's interpretation of the results is also important. And then you will be graded with the overall rating of the quality of the review, and then further comments. Okay, but this will not be given to you. We will have this, but at least you have an idea on how what is expected as a review. This is only not applicable for this purpose. This is actually one of the credit, no, because the source here is the Normalize. This is being one of the associate editors of Normalize. We are also grading. We are also evaluating the peer reviewers, no, of the normalized. So this is actually the materials that is used by Dr. Maripaz Morales of normalized. So, yeah. Okay. So last. Let me finish my presentation. Okay. Okay. So what needs to be done? Again, applicable for ongoing PNU graduate students only. One, you have to do peer review the given sample study 1 using form 1. Number 2, evaluate an IM or module that you made or you used and fill in form number 2. Number 3 is to submit this together with the reflection notes in PDF format. So just would like to wrap up everything. These are the steps, no, in peer reviewing the article. Number 1, of course, you have to download and read the entire article. I think you have read two YouTube videos that we shared in our FB group. Number 2, these are things that they also discussed. Number 2, make bulleted comments. It might be that in the paper you will have the comments, so you know how to do it. You have to do the bulleted comments, and you have to be very more specific. You have to be very constructive. You fill up form number 1, making a list of all the sections which is already made for you, and then number 4 is to write a summary paragraph of the article. This should be reflected in the overall remarks of form number 1. So I think that's all. Thank you very much.